So now we're going to get into one of the most underrated points of any video game, and that's sound. A lot of people think, well, it's not really that important, especially hobbyist programmers who don't really put the right time in the right spots. And the truth is that sound really creates a complete atmosphere in a game. Imagine playing like a spooky game like Resident Evil or something, and there was no eerie music in the background or no creaking boards as you're walking or anything like that. It really takes away from the game. Imagine playing Guitar Hero but not having any sound effects. It'd be really tough to follow along and keep the beat. Some people can do it, but that's really not the point of the game anymore, now is it? So what we're going to learn today is how to incorporate sound into our games. Now when I say sound, I mean both sound effects as well as music. The way that our Java game engine handles it handles them both in the same way, but we have to be conscious about how we treat them. So for example, music, background music, typically is longer in its nature, and therefore it's going to take up more space in memory. Sound effects are usually quick, short little sound bites and don't take up a lot of space. Now that's a relative term, because depending on the file format, space can change. So for example, if I have a 1 minute video or 1 minute sound file in MP3 format, it's 10 times less of a size than the same file in WAV format, WAV format. So WAV formats, they're uncompressed, so it takes no work to play them on the CPU's part. Just starts it going, no problem at all. An MP3 file, on the other hand, is compressed, obviously, since it's 10 times smaller in size. So what that means is for the program to actually play it, it has to decompress it first. So it's extra work on the CPU, and sometimes, depending on the file, that can actually create lag depending on when you're loading it and playing it and everything like that. So what we want to do is we want to be conscious about what we're using and when. So for example, for sound effects that we need in quick succession over and over and over really quickly, and a whole bunch of them, we don't want to use MP3 because we don't want to have to deal with the fact that it's decompressing it. So we're going to use WAV files for sound effects. That means that basically like little short things like, you know, creaking boards or a gate opening or a gunshot or something like that, those should be WAV files. And I'll show you where you can download those in just a second. And then secondly, music. Music is longer in nature, so really our priority is size at that point, because if you have a 3-minute song and it was a WAV format, that'd be like 30 megabytes of data. That's a lot, and it's going to take a while to load in memory. But if you have an MP3 format, it'd be like 3 megabytes, which is quite a bit smaller. Now, yes, it will have to decompress it, but because it only has to do it once and it's not playing it in quick succession or anything like that, it's really not as much of a painful process. So how do we carry on from here? Well, let's figure out where we can actually download these files. So if you go to this website here, freesound.org, and here I have freesound.org/browse/tag/sound-effects, which you can see right up here in the URL bar. That will actually take you to a website that's absolutely fantastic for finding sound effects. And there's other things on this website as well, but this is the main thing that I'm looking for. So literally you could just type in what you want in the search bar, click enter, and you're going to get a whole bunch of different options. And you can play them right here on the spot just by clicking the play sound or the play icon, and you'll get a quick little soundbite of what that actually does. And then of course you can download it, and these are all, you can see that this is all in WAV format, so they're great for sound effects. Music, on the other hand, well, that's another beast altogether. You may be able to find some music on here, you may be able to find some music that's not copywritten out there somewhere. What we're doing in our class, we're not really making any money off of anything, and we're not trying to sell it to anybody in any way. So you using your own personal music that you've ripped from a CD or something like that, there's no problem with that in our classroom. If you wanted to sell your product, you'd have to get approval and permission from the creators of that music and probably their publishers as well and their distributors, but it's not really an issue for us right now. So you can kind of use what you want at this point. Just make sure you're not trying to make any money off of it, and you should be okay. Now, just again to re-emphasize, the only two file formats we can use with our Java game engine are WAV files, which you're going to use for sound effects, and MP3 files, which we're going to use for music. Now, how do we actually load it into our programs? Well, that's pretty easy. What you need to do is go to your folder. Let me just pull this up for a second. Hold on. So you're going to go to your folder, and here's a quick little... This is my workspace. And here I have a whole bunch of different projects. Now I'm currently working in the Game Tinker project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to go into the res folder, which is short for resources, and my sounds folder is going to hold all of my sounds for my game. Inside of here I have two types of sounds. I'm going to hold music, so this is all your background music and anything else you're going to have music wise. You're going to store in there. You can see I already have some. And then effects will go into here, and you can see I have some in here. These ones are WAV files. And this is just for organization purposes. Now once you have this set up, like once you've dragged your music into here, it's still not in your project. So what you need to do is back in Eclipse, you got to find the project that you plan on working with. In this case, where you put the sounds, I put it in Game Tinker. If I right click on Game Tinker and click refresh, what that's going to do is it's going to update it and check with my folders and make sure that everything is where it needs to be. So then when I go down to the res folder, I can see that I have both effects and my music. So now I'm free to use these within my program. They're not actually in the program yet, but they are part of the project and I have access to them. And loading those and playing them, that's where we go next.